Hello fellas, it's Gav. I've got another workbench update, a bit of a project for myself this time. This is a 1 in 1200 scale Langton miniatures sailing ship from the Napoleonic Wars. This is the second rate 98 gun HMS Neptune, and you could also paint her up as her sister ship HMS Dreadnought if that floats your boat. I'll give you a bit of a twirl round if I can. She's had one coat of varnish on just as a bit of protection while I'm working on her. As you can see, they're quite well detailed for the scale. And point a few things out if I can remember what the heck they are. The very end here, you've got the, you see that's a figurehead, and that would have been obviously of the god Neptune. Around here are the heads. It's where the crew actually go to the loo. You've got petty officers and other ranks. And the petty officers had a better deal of it than the other guys. These things sticking out here, these are the cat heads, I believe, and the anchor was secured on these. And the one thing about these miniatures are they don't actually come with ship's anchors, and if anybody's seen, say, HMS Victory, you'll see the colossal anchors that hang off the sides. And I'm not sure why they don't do them, but that's something I can't let go. I'm going to have to attempt to make an anchor of some description. Here you've got some of the cannon, these smaller ones. These are actually on wheels. And here you've got some of the carronades. Carronades were short-barrelled, big bore cannon. They didn't have a long range, but they fired something like about a 32-pound ball. There was different sizes, so when they hit a ship, they really made a big hole. And a lot of lighter ships, like frigates, started carrying a lot more carronades because they could get more bang for the buck. Here you have some of the hatches for putting daylight and stores through. This is, I believe, the ship's bell. It'd be housed in a. I've done it like a bit of a red look. It still probably might need a bit of a highlight here and there. But they made put some ornate carvings on and that, as it was the ship's bell, and that controlled all more or less all the time on board the ships and what the crew were doing. These white bits here, these are stowed hammocks. And they'd put them in some netting at the side here, and they would be there just to be aired, but in times of action they would help stop small arms and splinters going through to the crew, and they would often rig more hammocks up around these black bits here, which are bulwarks. The white rails that you see, I believe they're called skid bars, and they can be taken off and removed because under here you can literally run from one end of the ship to the other with just a few partitions which could be taken down in combat. I've painted these white. You could just as easily leave them wood colour. Just depends on what the ship's captain decided to paint them. I have got a couple of ship's boats. They would stow the ship's boats on top as well, and I have painted a couple of boats up. Here again, a couple more hatches. I'm also looking at Langton Miniatures do a booklet, and I'm trying to look at the same time to make sure I'm getting the right names for them. Again, you can see some more deck cannon, and you can't really see on here, but they've got the little wheels on. some more carronade at the top. I'll see if I can tip her up a bit. I've used black paint just to show the shadows. I've actually painted the black with some more dark grey with Luftwaffe blue in to show more faded paintwork. The black lines on the side, they're straight bars. The ones going up are there for help when they're loading stores like barrels of food and hoisting cannon up and whatever. And obviously the ones along the side protect the ship's sides. At the back here is a stern gallery. The two yellow strips at the back you can't see particularly well, but they're actually like little balconies for the admiral and the ship's captain, like the flag captain. As there's no real private room on board the ship, they get their little gallery to walk along should they want to. In the early 1800s, they actually, you'll see like on HMS Victory, they stopped putting these galleries on, and then sometime during the Napoleonic Wars, I think sometime after 1805 I believe, they started adding smaller galleries on, so not running the length of the ship, but just a smaller one. From what I've seen, you could put HMS Neptune as a name right on this bottom black bit at the bottom, but in this scale I just think it'll look a bit rough, to be honest with you, so I'm going to leave it off. I've tried to paint this orangey colour. It's supposed to show like the sheathed copper that they put around the holes at the keel to stop the ingress of like these type of woodworms that you can get in the sea that used to chew up old wooden ships. There's a bit of work still to do. I say I've put a coat of varnish on, but there's a couple of touch-ups still need doing. You always see a bit when you're getting close up to it. So yeah, there's HMS Neptune, and you can see some of the sails and the yards here. Again, how you paint these is really down to you. The sails I didn't want really white and shiny, but I didn't want them too brown either. The pattern that you can see on the sails, that's actually like very small ropes that they can actually tie the sails up with. But it's hard if you actually paint them with a brown paint of any description. They stand out too much for this scale, if that makes sense. So I've done the old standby of the old Agrit's earth shade, or any sepia wash should do, and just sepiaed them up really. So that's that. This is photo etched brass even for the rat lines. I've painted that with a black with a bit of brown mixed in, and they've got some bit of dark grey on there in places as well. And there's a couple of ship's boats. The boats don't come with a model, you'd have to order them separately with them. They get a packet of a dozen or so. I've gone for a bit fancy there, putting the green innards and a couple of three stripes. I'd seen that on a few artists' impressions, so that's what I've gone for. Right guys, sorry I've been rambling, and it's going to probably take a year to upload this one, but I just thought you might want to see what progress has been made on HMS Neptune. Next time you see her, she'll have hopefully all these masts glued in place, and these rat lines attached, and the rigging on. So wait for the next instalment. Alright guys, thanks for indulging me. I know it's been a bit of a ramble, but I started off thinking this would be for a 3-minute video, and now we're running into 9. Alright guys, cheers, see ya.